So, in today's video, we're going to talk about the ramifications of the Flash movie doing so bad and how this already has knock-on effects to Pete Safran and James Gunn's future with the DC universe, if that actually ever happens, because until they start shooting Superman Legacy, we don't even know if that hypothetical universe is going to happen. So, what is freaking good, YouTube boys? You here? If you're on Neuroanimation, subscribe to never miss any of the Marvel, DC, Kaiju, Monsterverse, pop culture-based content that we try to cover on a daily basis. Could subscribe to the channel, turn notifications on, and let me know, what would you do with the new DC if you were in charge and we didn't have this far-fetched, contradictory plan that James Gunn keeps going back on what he said multiple times in the new universe? The Flash is going to kick off the new universe? No, it doesn't. Okay, so Blue Beetle exists in the new universe, but no, it doesn't. Just the Blue Beetle character. It literally makes no sense what he's trying to do. Although I do think he's a quite articulate person. James Gunn is the figurehead of him and Pete Safran. He's confusing the hell out of everyone, probably confusing himself. So if you could check us out on Instagram at WatchU to see the beautiful face behind the beautiful voice, and also if you could check us out on Twitter or x.com, it's the same website, WatchUG, right? Let's get into this video. So it's worth saying that there's reports going around, and I think it's a bit misleading because basically Ezra Miller's been fired, but it's the same situation with Henry Cavill, with Ben Affleck, etc. He's not really been fired. He had a certain amount of appearances on his contract. He had the cameo role in the Suicide Squad movie. He had the cameo role in BVS. And he starred in the Justice League movie, every version alongside the other actors. And also he had his solo movie, being The Flash, that should have came out multiple years ago, but it didn't. So the Flash movie came out and grossed $268 million, give or take. So it lost the studio $300 to $400 million at least. Needed at least 700-800 to break even. So this movie made the studio no money. In fact, it lost the studio no end of money. But the actual funny thing is, Warner Bros. Pictures has been one of the most financial viable studios overall, only because of Barbie. Only just because of Barbie. So overall, because of the Barbie movie, Warner Bros. Has actually done decent because of that. Even though Blue Beetle lost money, Shazam 2 lost money, The Flash lost money. Literally every DC movie lost money. The Barbie movie kind of made up for everything. So it's the case where Ezra Miller's been fired, and it won't go anywhere, but there's no plans for The Flash 2. And what I find interesting here is the director wasn't fired at all because he was hired to do the Flash movie. I really hope he gets nowhere near Batman Brave and the Bold, because personally, I think the way the Batmans were treated, I think Andy Muschietti's good at horror movies. I just don't think he should be in the superhero space. Yes, there's so many external and internal factors that you could blame for the downfall of the Flash movie. But at the end of the day, if you're going to put Batman versus Superman on a pedestal, and that grossed $850 million, made a lot of money when it came to Blu-ray sales and other stuff, you need to put this movie on a Justice League level movie, because the Flash literally had every single character: Supergirl, multiple Batman, the Flash, all these other crazy cameos that shouldn't have appeared. So the moral of the story is, potentially James Gunn could actually be rebooting the universe. Maybe. So if we, cipher all this into the equation, it does appear that we will be getting a new Flash as well, which I really, really hope we should. They took a big L. Why would you basically copy the Flash TV show and have Savitar have "I am the Flash"? And you didn't even the Flash TV show did it better on a much smaller scale in terms of budget than a Hollywood movie did. You tried to copy what they did. You tried to steal their homework. You didn't do it as good. What you should have done is actually introduce a Reverse Flash. Like, Reverse Flash was always going to kill Nora, but the whole plot hole, if the can gets misplaced or if the can gets moved, absolute nonsense. So maybe the DCU may go somewhere, hypothetically speaking, if they actually go ahead and make it, because it's all right going, Superman Legacy is going to reboot everything. Until they start shooting, there is no Superman Legacy. So we could be getting a new Batman, and a new Flash, and a new Supergirl. We know David Korsnet is playing Superman. Cool story, bro. Literally a Henry Cavill ripoff. Why did I say that? Because he literally looks like Henry Cavill. You should have just kept Henry Cavill in. They're both in their 30s. I get it. Henry Cavill would have been in his 40s, and I'm only saying this to make you guys be like, get over the Henry Cavill situation. I was over that before it happened because I literally knew that was going to happen. It was standard, you know. The new head comes in and strips everything. So it is a bit hard to understand what the freaking hell James Gunn means, because I've literally had comments in videos going, I can't wait to see George Clooney team up with Aquaman. Team up with Aquaman. The post-credit scene has confused normies to the point where they think George Clooney is going to appear in Aquaman too. It is interesting. So maybe we are getting a complete new universe. Maybe I'm starting to believe that, because now we know that Ezra Miller's gone. We know we're getting a new Batman. I mean, there's a lot of cool people that could play the next Batman. And it's interesting because Ben Affleck's recently come out and said his time as Batman was over too quick. Well, if Ben Affleck really wanted to do another Batman movie, he would do it. He really would do it if he wanted to. So it's clear that he doesn't want it. So maybe they are making a new DC universe. And maybe James Gunn hasn't actually been chatting all this time. But it's hard to actually break down. It's sad and hard to break down what James Gunn actually means when he talks, because he says something but means the complete opposite. It's really hard to understand what the freaking hell he says. So some information came out recently about why James Gunn was brought on. He was brought on because nobody wanted the freaking job. Apparently that many people in Hollywood turned it down. What we tried to do is get really great leadership. Our company is, we don't want people to go to meetings. We want the people to do the work. He continued. So when I was meeting with James Gunn, and he was already writing Superman, and he had already written The Guardians of the Galaxy, kind of a lie because he didn't write the first one, which is now a big hit for Marvel, okay? It just sounds like you want him to carbon copy it, but he didn't create the universe. He created a tiny part, a tiny franchise, which is now big, which we're happy about because Gunn wrote that movie and directed that movie. Okay, yeah, the last one he did, sure, but not the first one. I'm looking at it thinking to myself, why isn't that guy running DC? Because it's just not going to work. It won't work unless he kind of does all these movies as a standalone movie and have some connective tissue. Building up a franchise is completely different to building up our whole universe. Zaslav went on to talk about how Gunn has been close to these characters his entire life. That's not relevant because we're talking about someone creating a universe, not being a fan. They are his family, and after reading his Superman, Zaslav saw his potential and wanted to work with him. So basically you're saying no one else wanted to take charge of the studio, so you convinced him and Pete Safran to do it on a 4-year contract. Yet they talk about this 10-year plan, yet we don't know any details about what the freaking hell is coming on, because it seems to me, and yeah, I'm probably going to get hate for this, seems to me like they're winging it. They're just going to see how well Superman Legacy does. But the problem we have here is, regardless to what anyone says, Superman Legacy has to be critically great. It has to be received well with the audience. And it has to make a hell of a lot of money. It doesn't need to make $1 billion, but it needs to make 700 to 800 at least. And James Gunn keeps going around saying, oh, the superhero genre's boring. They're all carbon copying each other. The boring movies. And it's like, James, chill. Literally all your movies, including your DC movies, have cheesy ass jokes in them. Okay, sure. The serious tone was more in Guardians 3, but you were pulling on the emotional side of animals. So there was still cheesy jokes. So you're right. The superhero genre needs to change and it needs a more serious tone. Guardians 1 and 2 didn't have it, and Guardians 3 kind of had it, but only for like 25% of the movie. So the problem isn't the actual superhero genre. The problem is the tone. Now, people slag on BVS all they want, right? And Man of Steel, but the tone was serious. We do not need corny-ass, cheesy-ass jokes in the superhero genre. Just because it's Superman, just because he's supposed to be this figure, he's supposed to be the embodiment of, you know, what it's to be an American, he's supposed to be the embodiment of a human being, does not need cheesy-ass jokes. It doesn't. That's all we need. That's all you need to do with a superhero movie. Give it a serious tone. That doesn't mean everyone needs to die. Doesn't mean you need Zod to get his head snapped off. Doesn't mean you need Superman to die, but you do need a serious tone. And with everything we're hearing from Superman Legacy, it sounds like it's Black Adam 2.0 in the Middle East. And I do believe that information is correct because James Gunn likes to come out and debunk people, and he's not debunked that one yet. Has he? No. So I'm interested in the future of DC. A lot of people seem to think I hate the DC universe and I'm not going to support it. Well, I will still go watch some movies. Blue Beetle was fine in parts. Interesting how James Gunn hasn't done the Drake thing yet, where he comes out and says, you know, when Drake's puts a bet on and then the fighter loses. But every time James Gunn comes out and says it's the greatest movie ever, it flops. So if he doesn't say it for Aquaman, I think Aquaman 2 could make money because it's literally like the first one, but it looks better. But it depends if they have this political, environmental agenda in the movie, which is a lot of the issues that people were having. And there's still this back and forth between did people walk out the test screenings or did they not? We don't know, but the future of DC could be very good. Like, I do think James Gunn knows what he's doing to a certain degree. David Korsner is a very good actor, but that doesn't really mean much. The actor can only do what the script says, and he can only take the direction that he's given. Directing a Superman movie compared to Guardians of the Galaxy, that should be a completely different tonal shift. And that's why people are worried about James Gunn, because they think he's going to turn the Superman franchise into an absolute joke and have Superman cracking jokes all the time when, let's be honest, although I like Peacemaker, and I like the Suicide Squad via James Gunn, and I like Guardians 3, there's too many freaking jokes in them. Too many jokes in Peacemaker. They weren't really needed. A few times, cool, but the jokes get stale really easily. So in order, and the way to save the DC kind of continuity going forward is just give them a serious tone. That's all you need to do. That doesn't mean you need to kill everyone. Doesn't mean you need swearing and stuff. Serious tone, that's what's needed. So, like always, guys, let us know. Is the future of DC screwed? Do you have faith in James Gunn? And do you believe the rumor that Ezra Miller has been fired? And now it's looking like potentially most of the main superheroes in the Justice League will be recast to a certain degree. So, like always, guys, check us out on Instagram at USGTC, the beautiful face, and the beautiful voice. Check us out on Twitter, US2G. And I'll catch you in another video very soon. Catch you later.